The 100 Heads Challenge.
I totally did this in 10 days.
Okay, I did it in about 30 days, but I'm so glad I stuck with it because I have definitely improved. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, Art Kira. I seen this challenge almost a year ago on Ahmed Aldoori's YouTube channel and kept thinking it would be such a great challenge to do. But I was intimidated. It seemed like such an onerous task. I was concerned I would not have enough time and it would be yet another thing that I start and do not finish. I have many unfinished projects and I didn't want to add yet another one to the list. I also want to be exploring different subjects and was concerned I would be stuck with doing just portraits for the long term. So, with all my reservations, why did I decide to attempt the challenge? A couple of months ago, I ended up feeling burnt out with the amount of time I was spending on my art. So I decided to stop for 2 weeks to recharge. But once the 2 weeks were up, I struggled to find the motivation and self-discipline to get back into it. 2 weeks turned into 3, then over a month had passed. I thought this challenge was apt at this time. I decided to use this challenge as a way of building the habit back up of creating art daily. I wouldn't have to think about what to draw every day, which takes some of the mental energy away. No more scrolling through numerous reference images, which can easily turn into an hour of just scrolling, and more scrolling. I would get up, turn up at my desk, and know exactly what I was drawing. No thinking involved, just get up and get to it. At first, I did not intend to complete it in 10 days, but I also decided not to be too strict with this time frame. I wanted to keep it fun. I got my massive A3 sketchbook out from the boot of my car. Believe it or not, this sketchbook has been in the boot of my car for about 4 years. I bought it ages ago with the greatest intentions in the world, but I never opened it, just left it in my car and it has been sat there for 4 years. Finally, I found a purpose for it with this challenge, although I did move into my smaller sketchbook halfway through. I took a couple of days off work and delved right in, full of positivity and enthusiasm. I was pleased with my first couple of portraits, spurring me on, but due to technical problems, with me still being new to filming, I wasn't able to be as productive as I'd hoped. But then I started to get into the swing of things and really enjoy some of the work I was creating. A strange problem was that I kept drawing too big. I found it difficult at times to control the scale of my drawing. Maybe because the page was so big, I subconsciously felt I had to compensate for this by drawing so big, and this meant each head was also taking me longer. At first, I was taking 15 to 20 minutes on each head, which I thought was a good aim to have. Enough time for me to add sufficient detail, capture a likeness, but also feel like I was doing these at a quick pace. But my timing slowly increased to 30 minutes and more per head, and I realised I was way behind schedule. I either needed to speed up or accept it would take me over 10 days. Speeding up means a lower quality of work, but would I get the same benefit from it? Or I could accept it will take me over 10 days, but is this in the spirit of the challenge? I decided it depends on what my goals are. What do I want to take away and achieve from this challenge? For me, I wanted to get into the daily habit of creating art. I also wanted to practice getting more familiar with head construction. Neither of these meant I had to rush to complete it in order to achieve an arbitrary goal. It would have been difficult to fit this around working full time. I found there were days when I was just so tired, but still trying to draw 10 heads for the day. I would not have been getting the most out of this challenge. So I decided to take my time, still trying to draw quickly whilst achieving a good likeness, but I wasn't stressing about how many I was doing. I wanted to do it properly, apply myself, critique my own work as I went and improve. Get as much out of it as I could. As long as I spent at least 45 minutes to an hour a day, I felt happy that I was making progress. I think I remember Ahmed says to do it in your own time, however much you may have. So if you guys decided to do this challenge, don't stress out about the 10 days. Do it at your own pace, whether it's 20 days, a month or even more. I cycled a lot between graphite or charcoal drawings to wanting to add colour, but the coloured drawings were taking too long, so I would end up going back to graphite. I also have more experience with graphite than coloured mediums, so it felt more familiar. Towards the end of the challenge, when I felt I was getting impatient and wanted to speed things along, I stuck with graphite and found my zone. Decided to focus on contrast and trying to use a large range of values. The weight can be used to focus the eyes of the viewer on certain parts. The weight brings some details forward and sends others back. I am not sure if it is noticeable when watching this video, but I did try to implement a few different methods of drawing faces. One was the Loomis method, where you draw the head structure as you imagine it in 3D space, and thinking about the standard human facial proportions. But I need to bear in mind, especially with the ogres, that standard facial proportions don't apply. One was breaking down features and part of the face into shapes. Another similar one is breaking down the separate values into shapes. Also using different markers of the face as reference points to get proportions right. I found in the end I was using a combination of all of these methods at the same time. I also found I tend to start with the eyebrow bone as the initial reference point. This is a long-winded way of me saying there is no one method of drawing a portrait, or drawing anything really. Try out lots of methods, watch YouTube tutorials, read technical art books, and over time you will find your own way. At first I was really enjoying practicing drawing a variety of faces. If you look at my Instagram, when I first started posting, I was doing portraits regularly, and you may notice I was making a conscious effort to draw both men and women of a variety of ethnicities and ages, but doing so many in a short period of time really accelerates the learning process. Understanding the range of different facial proportions, different skin colours, all the various differences, I was learning so much. I would recommend this challenge if anyone finds themselves stuck with the same face syndrome. This is where someone keeps drawing a similar type of face each time, and I have seen a lot of artists do this on both Instagram and YouTube. So for example, I hear people saying they can't draw men, only women, or they might draw someone with the same hairstyle because they find drawing hair hard. I think in order to improve, we really need to try things outside of our comfort zone, otherwise we may plateau in our artistic journey. You may also notice how I started drawing smaller and smaller towards the end as I was getting frustrated with how long it was taking me, and I moved into using a much smaller sketchbook too. With the first few ogres, I really had fun drawing them. They were such strong characters with exaggerated features, but towards the end I was feeling a bit bored by it, especially with the number of ogres. It started feeling too repetitive and I really wanted to get back to drawing real people. Those few days of ogres did feel like a real drag. When the ogres just kept coming up one after another, I was thinking I wish I had done the 50 heads challenge and was peed off at myself for choosing the 100 heads challenge. But now that I have completed it, I do feel a sense of accomplishment. I am proud of myself for having pushed through and being determined to stick with it. I have definitely noticed an improvement when I look at the final 20 heads compared to the first 20 heads, and I hope you guys can see it too. When I had finished all the heads from the Pinterest board, for some reason I had only done about 92. I don't know what happened and why I didn't get 100 heads from the board, so I ended up finding some of my own reference images to complete the challenge. So, what did I learn? What I like to do regularly is to reflect on things that I liked and disliked, what went well and what didn't go so well. If something didn't go well, how can I do better next time? I try to take these learnings and incorporate them into my practice going forward, with the intention to continuously improve and strive to be better. Something that I would encourage: try to self-critique your own work, try to find things you are good at. If you find something you could be better at, think about how you can be better. Take time to notice the good things and things you can improve. So, the first thing I learnt was planning in advance is a game changer. Have everything set up in advance, like desk space, sketchbook being out and ready. This meant I could get up and first thing in the morning go to sit at my desk and start straight away. No thinking involved, no spending time finding my sketchbook, searching for my tablet and making space at my desk. The first couple of days I kept switching back and forth between the dining table and my desk. This meant I had to keep carrying everything downstairs and back up again. It was so much effort. Then I decided to stick to one spot. The second thing I learned was that I enjoy experimentation. At first I started with graphite, something that was straightforward and easy to use. Then I used some charcoal. I also wanted to start adding colour. On one page I used some watercolours over the top of graphite. I also tried to colour pencils and had the urge to do one with acrylic paint. And the third thing I learnt was that I like pushing the contrast. I found that I enjoyed drawings with stark contrast. I even started experimenting with light and shadow, adding contrast and pushing the values more than what the reference image was showing. This is partly the reason I preferred graphite as well, so I could focus on and experiment more with contrast. With the latter drawings where I was trying to do this, I was really proud of some of the drawings at the time. But reflecting on them now, I feel I could have pushed the contrast even more. In conclusion, although when it was over I felt incredibly relieved that I could move on to other projects, I was also glad I did it. At times it was frustrating and felt never ending, especially with the number of ogres, but I have definitely noticed improvement, taken a lot of benefits from the challenge. It has also gotten me into the habit of getting up early and getting stuck into my art first thing, a habit I hope to continue. During this time, with being so focused on art, I have immersed myself in art through YouTube, Instagram and other social media, and I have so many ideas. I feel like I am on a roll and cannot wait to keep going and taking the motivation and discipline forwards into new projects. I was originally thinking of doing it again next year to see improvement 1 year later. Although I don't regret doing it, I think there is a slim chance of me doing this again. It takes up so much time and commitment. I have so many other projects I want to spend my time on. I do rely on reference images a lot at the moment and endeavour to create more from my imagination. Now that I have built up a reference library of a variety of faces, I feel more confident and encouraged to draw from my imagination. So, my next video will be me having taken all my learnings from this challenge and applying it to drawing a portrait from my imagination. A lot of heads. I will see you next time. Ciao!